हेलो।
हेलो।
हाँ दादा, अनम्यूट हो
हाँ,
गया।
गुड आफ्टरनून रणवीर सर। दानवे सर, बॅकग्राऊंड मध्ये आवाज आहे तुमचा.
1 minute. One.
हेलो.
हाँ दादा.
Yes, yes. So introduction.
Hello. Today's speaker is Dr. Vishnu Bhavne. He is completed his BMS from MEHS University, MD from Mumbai University. Now he is doing PhD from DY Patil School of Ayurveda and Hospital, PGDCR from DY Patil. He is MCIM member, that is, he is also organizing secretary of World Ayush Expo. He is convener of National Teachers Forum, National Integrated Medical Association. Now he is working in DY Patil School of Ayurveda and Hospital as an associate professor in Prasut Tantra and Stroke Department. Thank you.
So I, Dr. Girish Daga, welcome you all. I welcome Dr. Vishnu Bhavne sir. And in this NIMA's webinar, this is the second lecture. Before this, on last Sunday, we have organized one lecture on legal cell, that is laws in medical practice. And now today's it's the first lecture of from the Infertility Society, and this lecture, our speaker is Dr. Vishnu Bhavne. I request Dr. Vishnu Bhavne please continue with his lecture. Dr. Vishnu Bhavne sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, I bow down to Lord Dhanvantari, and before I start my lecture, at the outset, I would like to thank and appreciate the Fertility Society, NIMA TC, NIMA MSB, for arranging such a nice lecture series. I think this is the second lecture of that series. Particularly, I would like to thank Dr. Gajaran Dhadve sir for the nice introduction of mine, and Dr. Girish Daga sir, Alok Gupta sir, and all the participants, my colleagues, friends, and respected seniors. If before starting my lecture, if there would be any disturbance or you would not be able to hear me properly, you can drop the message in the chat box so that I would come to know that you are not able to hear me properly. Okay. So today's topic is integrated approach to PCOD. You all know what is PCOD. PCOD, the full form of PCOD is polycystic ovarian disease. It is also known as PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Most of the times, PCOS and PCOD are used as synonyms also. The difference between PCOD and PCOS is PCOD is a disease, and when the all symptom complex, any syndrome is a symptom complex. PCOS is nothing but it's a symptom complex, like irregular menses, obesity. We are going to discuss thoroughly as we proceed. So let's understand what is PCOD or PCOS. PCOS is one of the leading causes of infertility in women. PCOS is a condition where hormonal imbalance affects follicular growth during the ovarian cycle, causing the affected follicles to remain in the ovary. The retained follicle forms a cyst. With each ovarian cycle, a new cyst is formed, leading to the multiple ovarian cycle or multiple ovarian cysts. It is nothing but a folliculogenesis is arrested, and in every normal ovarian cycle, there is a normal growth of. Sir, next slide, please. There is a normal growth of follicle. If you look at this slide, in the normal ovary, what happens? The primordial follicles, they are converted into primary follicles and secondary follicles, mature follicles, and ovulation takes place, average on the 14th day of period. This is the normal cycle, the normal ovarian cycle. If after the ovulation, if patient conceives, the pregnancy continues, and the corpus luteum produces the progesterone, and the pregnancy continues. If patient fails to conceive, then it remains. Then the corpus luteum is converted into corpus albicans. Alba means white. It remains as a white dot on the ovary. This is a normal ovary. This normal ovarian cycle takes place in the ovary. But in PCOS, what happens? The complete development of the follicle is arrested. You can see here the development is arrested. I can highlight. I cannot highlight. Uh, you can see the multiple immature follicles, and these immature follicles, they fails to grow further, and their maturation, simply their maturation, is arrested. There is one message that, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was one message in the chat box regarding the volume. Okay. So this is the difference between a norm. I request the host, Dr. Dhadwe sir and Girish Daga sir, please unmute yourself while speaking on phone. Uh, we're discussing about the normal ovary and polycystic ovaries. Poly means multiple. Cystic, a cyst, a fluid-filled structure. It is known as a cyst. So this is a very basic difference between a normal ovary and a polycystic ovary. Simply the maturation is arrested. Next slide please, sir. Girish sir. Girish sir,
Hello,
next slide
Girish.
please.
Girish.
Okay. You can see very clearly the difference between a polycystic. Multiple cysts are formed in the ovaries. So next slide. Girish sir, next slide please. See, here you can also you can see the difference between normal menstrual cycle and a cycle of a PCOS female. There is a difference between a cycle. These are the cycle days. This yellow, you can see the yellow lining. There is a slide, please. So it was In the graphical structure, it is shown that in the normal menstrual cycle, the FSH and LH, uh, there is a curve is shown. But in the PCOS cycle, the LH and FSH ratio is completely disrupted, which causes a PCOS. Girish sir, please, can you share the slide? By the time we share the, I will proceed. First time PCOD was first described in 1935 as Sten and Leventhal as PCOD. PCOS is a syndrome manifested by amenorrhea, hirsutism, and obesity. Majorly amenorrhea, hirsutism, and obesity associated with enlarged polycystic ovaries. Girish sir, can you please
Hello,
Just,
Girish.
oh, sir, just wait.
start the PPT? PPT is not visible on the screen. Girish sir, please share the PPT on the screen.
Yes, sir, just wait.
Okay. So it was first described in 1935 by the Sten Leventhal. It's a syndrome. The major symptoms are amenorrhea, hirsutism, and obesity associated with enlarged polycystic ovaries. It's a heterogeneous disorder characterized by the excess androgen production by the ovaries that interferes with the reproductive, endocrine, and metabolic function. Because majorly in the female body is not supposed to do hard work, muscular work. That's why if female they indulges themselves in the muscular work, it results in the excess androgens. Uh, Androgens are produced along with the estrogens and hello,
Sir, just a minute.
along with. Can you share PPT, sir? Even few participants, they are saying that I am not audible. The controlling of PPT is with Girish, sir. That's why I'm not able to share the PPT. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. We were discussing, sir, about the definition.
Sir, next slide or this
Next
slide?
slide.
This one or next one?
Yes, sir. Next one. Next
Yes,
one.
sir.
Yeah, this one.
Sorry
Okay.
for interruption, sir.
No issue, sir.
Yeah.
I was discussing about the definition, which is laid down by the Sten Leventhal in 1935. You all know that the definitions are very critical. PCOS, mainly, we had already discussed this, that it is manifested by the amenorrhea, hirsutism, and obesity. And the disorder is characterized by the excess androgen productions by the ovaries that interferes with the reproductive, endocrine, and metabolic functions. Next slide, sir.
Yes. Sir, if you can please keep your mic little bit closer. Some audio issues are still there.
Okay.
Yeah, next slide.
Hello. Please check mic. Am I audible now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's audible. Little voice is little less, sir. Not that much audible.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, continue.
Now, if you look at the prevalence rate, the global prevalence rate is 2.2% to 26%. Roughly, in every 15 women worldwide, there is one patient suffering from PCOS. And nowadays, this prevalence rate is increasing day by day due to the sedentary lifestyles and lack of exercise and dietary habits. If you if you look at the global the prevalence rate in India, 36% of women are suffering from PCOS in India. Next slide, sir. We recently discussed about the uh, incidence rate, prevalence rate. Why to worry? Why this incidence rate is worrying us? Because the most common endocrine disorder affecting 5 to 10% women of reproductive age. Reproductive age, it is ranging between a 15 to 45 years of age. That is the reproductive age. Incidence is increasing fast with change in lifestyle and stress, because nowadays the life is very stressful. Most of the women, they are doing jobs. So in particularly in metropolitan cities, the stress is increasing. And the most frequent cause of infertility is PCOS in women, strongly associated with insulin resistance that creates risk for diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, and hypertension. These are the things which are really worrying. That's why this incidence rate is worrying, because ultimately PCOD is not only hampering not only affecting the fertility, but also the insulin resistance, diabetes, cardiovascular disorder. This this PCOD is responsible for these disorders, comorbid conditions. So that's why this disease is very important, and really we need to worry about it. Next slide, sir. Causes, like the modern medicine, sometimes if they found nothing, they said that the unknown etiology. It is very not clearly known age. Research is going on, maybe, but few identified causes, like maybe change in lifestyle, diet, and stress. Genetic factors, if we talk about the genetic factor, the CYP21 gene mutation is responsible. The family history is there. Obesity causing insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia. These are some possible causes mentioned about PCOD. I will not go in the details. Next
Sir,
slide, sir.
little but
Next slide,
audio
please.
issues are still there. I think you have to hold your mic
Okay,
little bit closer.
okay. I change my. Just wait, sir. Wait.
Ah, yes, yes.
Sorry for inconvenience.
No issue. So for audience, I will again repeat the tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session will be of Dr. Utane sir.
Hello.
Hello, yes sir,
Yeah,
Vishnu.
you are audible.
Now audible, sir?
Yes sir,
Yeah,
clearly. Now it's clear. Good,
very clear.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
very good.
Thank you.
Right.
Sorry for the
No issue,
disturbance.
continue.
Okay. Hmm. So this is a simple the diagram describing about the hormone, the HPO axis. The whole this cycle, this mechanism, the cycle, the ovaries, these are controlled by the axis is there. HPO axis, hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis, which regulates the menstruation and hormones in a female body. Next slide, sir.
Yeah.
9 dirty foods that cause PCOS. As far as possible, try to avoid these foods. First and foremost is dairy products. Most of the female, they indulge themselves in consuming the dairy products, milk and the byproducts of the milk. Most of the milk protein, most of the patient, they are allergic to the milk proteins or the milk products. So it creates a lot of digestive problems or allergic reactions. So this is one important cause. If you discuss the second cause, white sugar, it increases the sugar levels. Insulin resistance is there. The condition is like a diabetes mellitus. That's why the white sugar, if the PCOD is present in the families, try to avoid the white sugar. Then white flour and white rice. The glycemic index is more. That's why the most nowadays with the physicians they advise to consume the whole wheat flour rather than or the brown rather than the white flour. It is advisable. It affects the digestive system. Then the gluten grains. The gluten is present in the barley and the wheat. It may interfere with the digestive problems. So try to avoid it. It is one of the cause of PCOS. Then the red meat. It affects your hormonal system. Next one is alcohol. In the Western countries and now in India also the alcohol consumption it worsens the metabolism of the sugar. Then hydrogenated oils. It raises the bad cholesterol and lowers the good cholesterol. The bad cholesterol is LDL. LDL is a bad cholesterol, and the good cholesterol is SDL. It interferes with the cholesterol, the bad, the good cholesterol. That's why it is one of the cause. Then the caffeine increase estrogen levels and affects the fertility. So the caffeine is very dangerous. It is very dangerous for the health. It then high glycemic index foods of it affects the sugar level, and as we already discussed that the insulin resistance is there. So this is one of the cause. So these are the 9 foods that causes PCOS. One is dairy products, second is white sugar, third one is white flour and rice, gluten grains, red meat, alcohol, hydrogenated oils, caffeine, and the foods having high glycemic index. Next slide, sir. Next slide, sir.
Yeah, it's at figure. Next slide or this one?
Next slide. I will not go into details of the modern pathophysiology. I will discuss in details in Ayurveda segment. Now, if you look at the symptoms, so first is the symptoms of ovulatory dysfunction. Which symptoms are produced due to ovulatory dysfunction? So the most important symptom is amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea. Amenorrhea means complete absence of menses or periods. Oligo means scanty menses, and it constitutes for 87% of causes. Second is irregular uterine bleeding. There is irregularity in the uterine bleeding, and it constitutes 26%. Then the symptoms are then infertility. Infertility, it constitutes for the 20%. So these are the symptoms, these 3 symptoms, these are produced due to the ovulatory dysfunction: amenorrhea, irregular uterine bleeding, and infertility. Second, symptoms of androgen excess. Which symptoms uh, we can observe? Like first is hirsutism. Hirsutism is hair growth, facial hair growth. Acne is it is the result. It is due to the hyperandrogenism, due to the excess androgens. Then alopecia, the male pattern baldness or alopecia, hair fall is seen, and this is due to the androgen excess. These 3 symptoms are produced due to androgen excess: hirsutism, acne, and alopecia or male pattern baldness. Last one is symptoms of insulin resistance. Due to insulin resistance, acanthosis nigricans is produced. What is acanthosis nigricans? It is nothing but the blackish discoloration over the neck and the nape area. That is acanthosis, hyperkeratosis of the skin. That is nigricans. Nigra means the black. That is the blackish discoloration. That is acanthosis nigricans. And last one is obesity. Obesity and acanthosis nigricans, these symptoms are produced due to high insulin resistance. Next slide, sir. You can see all the symptoms over here in this pic. First, the thinning of hair. If you see the female like this, you can diagnose. It's very easy to diagnose PCOD. Thinning hair, thinning of hair, then presence of hair on the back, hair on the lip, chin, neck area, hair on the chest. Next symptom is acne, ovarian cyst, hair on the abdomen. PCOS causes the infertility, missed periods. Then hidradenitis suppurativa means in the groins and armpits, the glands are enlarged. Nodules you can feel, that is the hidradenitis suppurativa. Then the dark discolored skins and spots are seen in the armpits also and the groins also. Excess weight around the waist. So these are the symptoms. You can see all the symptoms in this one image. So next slide, please. We will see the each entity, each symptoms one by one. In the first diagram, you can see the acne. This is due to the hyperandrogen status. In the second image, there is a blackish discoloration over the neck and nape area. It is due to the hyperandrogens again. It's a blackish discoloration. You can easily observe that discoloration. In the third image, hirsutism, there is a facial hair growth. In the fourth one, obesity, irregular. In the second row, irregular menses. Then baldness, alopecia, and infertility. These are the clinical manifestations of PCOD. If you see these symptoms, you can easily diagnose the PCOD. Next slide, sir. Especially these three symptoms are produced by the excess androgens: hirsutism, acne, and baldness. Most of the times, what happens when patient of PCOD comes to our OPD, when a patient approaches to our OPD, we sometimes the manifestations are different. Patients comes with acne only, so we treat we give treatment, we advise the treatment for acne only. Sometimes patients present with the hirsutism, we advise the patient to go for the hair removal, or the hair removal with the lasers or others. Baldness, we treat the baldness only, but here we forget to ask the detailed history. We miss out the diagnosis, the root cause of this hirsutism, acne, baldness, even the obesity. We treat all these symptoms or diseases separately, and we try to diagnose the PCOD. And if we fail to diagnose the PCOD at the right time, and these symptoms gets even more worse. So whenever patient comes to your OPD, a female patient especially, the childbearing age, comes to your OPD and complaining of the hirsutism, acne, baldness, obesity, or irregular periods, ask detailed history, because the detailed history taking is very important. Otherwise, you may miss the diagnosis. At general practitioner level, uh, we usually treat the single entity disease, and we may miss out this diagnosis. I will just give you a simple mnemonics while of this disease. 3F, you can remember 3F: face, figure, and fertility. Face, the face is distorted, face is distorted with the hirsutism and acne. Then face, figure, due to the excess weight, obesity, the figure is distorted. And third one is fertility. This presence of 3F is very important in PCOD. If patient is unmarried patient of PCOD, then face and figure matters the most for unmarried patient. It matters for the married patient also, but especially the face and figure matters the most for unmarried PCOD patients. And if patient is married, for the married PCOD patients, fertility matters the most comparatively with the face and figure. So you can remember, you can easily remember or diagnose this. You can see the 3F. You can with the 3Fs you can easily remember the disease, and it would be easy to for the diagnosis also. Next slide. Acanthosis nigricans. These are the symptoms of insulin resistance. Why this blackish discoloration is there? It is due to the pigmented blackish pigmentation is there due to the excess, due to the insulin resistance. You can see over the neck and nape area clearly visible symptoms. It would be easy to diagnose the PCOD. Next slide, sir. Now we will just um, take a revision what we learned today. Um, Understanding PCO. These are the signs and symptoms. We'll start with head. At head, dandruff, male pattern baldness, depression. It is seen in the this head area. If you consider the face, excessive hair growth, and the coarse hair growth. Coarse means the rough hairs. Masculine features. Masculine features are seen on the face. Skin, especially the dark patches, and the cystic acne. The acne is can't hear, not audible. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, clearly
Yeah.
and loudly, sir.
Okay, in the parties in the chat box, someone has posted that's why.
No, no, it's clear.
Okay. So then the abdomen. If you look at the abdominal area, weight gain is there, and in the pelvis, thickening of the wall of uterus. Why there is thickening of wall of uterus? Patient missed the period, so patient fails to shed that endometrium, uh, that endometrium every month. Patient due to amenorrhea, so there is a thickening of uterine walls. Polycystic ovaries, multiple cysts are seen. Irregular menses or amenorrhea. Then infertility. This is seen in the pelvic area. Now the causes, the GnRH, the gonadotropin releasing hormone, the it is secreted from the hypothalamus, it is increased. Then LH and FSH ratio, it is it is disrupted, then even the insulin resistance is there, so the levels of insulin in the blood increases, which causes the weight gain, skin changes, and fungal infection. Like in diabetes, even the fungal infection is more common because insulin resistance is there in the diabetes. Similarly, the fungal infection and the skin changes happens in these cases. And the due to excess testosterone, acne, facial hair, and the masculine features. So that's it. So next slide, sir. To just revise the what we learned. Now, when to say PCOS, there are so many clinical symptoms are present. We just discussed and uh, saw that the symptoms are visible, but still, what is the when to say that it is a PCOS? The Rotterdam criteria should be used to diagnose the PCOS. So what is Rotterdam's diagnostic criteria? If two of the three following criteria are present, then only we can say that patient is suffering from PCOS. The first criteria is polycystic ovaries, either 12 or more peripherally arranged follicles of 2 to 9 mm in diameter, or increase ovarian volume greater than 10 centimeter, 10 cubic centimeter. So first criteria is either there are 12 or more peripherally arranged small follicles of which size 2 to 9 mm of in diameter, or increase ovarian volume of greater than 10 cubic centimeter. The ovarian volume is increased. Second is oligo or anovulation. Oligo means less, or un, that is the complete absence of ovulation. And third one is the signs of hyperandrogenism, excess male hormones. So if two of the three following criteria are present, we can see PCOS. Suppose if a patient comes with the polycystic with the sonography with the report of ultrasound showing the polycystic ovary and complaining of the in the oligo, or we can in the follicle study also oligo or anovulation is seen, then we can say that according to Rotterdam criteria, it is the case of PCOS, or oligo or anovulation and the signs of hyperandrogenism. You can combine any two symptoms of these three symptoms, then we can say that patient is a case of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Next slide, sir. Now, after this Rotterdam criteria, the classification of criteria, the PCOS is done in the major criteria and minor criteria. The major criteria includes anovulation, oligomenorrhea, spelling mistake is there, oligomenorrhea, hyperandrogenemia, severe hirsutism, insulin resistance. If any one of these symptom is present, it falls under the major criteria. The first one is anovulation, second is oligomenorrhea, third one is hyperandrogenemia, third one is severe hirsutism, and the fourth one is insulin resistance. In the minor criteria, polycystic ovaries on ultrasound. Second is elevated LH to FSH ratio. The LH luteinizing hormone 2 and FSH. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. The ratio is disrupted. The ratio of LH and FSH is disrupted. It becomes 3:1 most of the times. The acne. Next is acne and mild hirsutism and obesity. Just go through this major and minor criteria. Depends on this classification, because the next slides we are going to discuss with the further discussion is based on this slide. That's why just go through this major and minor criteria once again. The minor criteria: polycystic ovaries. Second is elevated LH to FSH ratio, acne, mild hirsutism, and obesity. Next slide, sir. Now, based on that major and minor criteria, you can define the mild, moderate, and severe form of PCOS. If there is a presence of one minor criteria, then you can say that there is a tendency of PCOS in that patient. Presence of two minor criteria, what it suggests, that is the mild form of PCOS. Then presence of one major and one minor criteria, that is moderate form of PCOS. And presence of one or more major and two or more major criteria, minor criteria, it suggests the severe form of PCOS. You can diagnose the tendency mild, moderate, and severe form of PCOS based on the major and minor criteria. So in severe form of PCOS, one or more major and two or more minor criteria is present. Next slide, sir. Now, how to differentiate? Most of the times you may get confused with the PCOS. So differential diagnosis is very important while diagnosing any disease. The differential diagnosis of hirsutism and oligomenorrhea includes the congenital adrenal hyperplasia. The congenital adrenal hyperplasia, the symptoms may resembles with the PCOS. Second is Cushing's syndrome. The buffalo hump and the blackish discoloration is present in the Cushing's syndrome. And the hyperthecosis ovary. In the hyperthecosis ovary, what happens? The lining of the ovaries, it becomes thickened and they starts producing the male hormones. They start producing the androgens. So that is the hyperthecosis ovary. Hyperthecosis means this thickening of the ovarian lining. Then the benign and malignant androgen secreting tumors or ovaries. So these are the entities which you can use for the differential diagnosis of PCOS. Next slide. Now investigations part. Investigation, our Indian doctors actually are known worldwide for the clinical diagnosis. But nowadays we rely too much on the laboratory investigations or radiological and sonological investigations. So before advising investigations, history and physical examination is very important. That's why I mentioned this point in the investigation, because it is very important before advising the laboratory investigations. What are the investigations which are advised to diagnose PCOD or PCOS at a laboratory level? LH and FSH ratio, E2, estradiol, then testosterone, androstenedione, SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, 17 hydroxyprogesterone, 17 OHP, DHEAS, prolactin, TSH, T3, T4, and the fasting insulin level. Then FBS, fasting blood sugar, total cholesterol, the cholesterol, LDL and SDL ratio. These are important because to diagnose, because in PCOS the cholesterol level is disrupted. Dyslipidemia is there, so you need to get these investigations done, LDL and SDL also. Then the pelvic ultrasound, which is commonly advised investigation to detect the PCOS. Most of the times we detect detect the PCOD with normal ultrasound only, or in few cases we advise the TVS. transvaginal sonography if required. So, and the next specific imaging procedures to exclude adrenal tumors if presentation is rapid, if required. But the basic investigations include these investigations mentioned on this slide. First, you can go for the pelvic ultrasound and the hormonal investigations along with the insulin, FBS, prolactin, and T3, T4, TSH. So these are the investigations to be advised to rule out the PCOS. Next slide. In the incidence, we saw that there is a reason to worry if patient is suffering from the severe form of PCOS because the long-term risk is involved with this, which it is responsible for the diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, dyslipidemia, endometrial cancer, breast cancer, recurrent pregnancy loss. Even if patient conceives, there is a recurrent pregnancy loss, ovarian failure after surgery. So these are the long-term risk involved in the patients of PCOS. Next slide, sir. Now the treatment part. We are very much interested in this treatment part. Most of the time we ignore the diagnosis, but frankly speaking, diagnosis is very important. Treatment is though for the most of the practitioners, treatment part is important, but treatment you can give the treatment after proper diagnosis. The proper diagnosis is important. Without diagnosing a proper disease, the treatment advice by just merely watching or just advising the treatment, it fails because proper diagnosis is important. So I'm not this is more than 2000 patients of PCOD and PCOS with Ayurvedic treatment only. So as to avoid the modern medicine, I completely stopped their modern medicine when I start the treatment, because if we are getting the results with Ayurvedic medicine and Panchakarma, then if these facilities are available with you, you can go for this treatment, because unnecessarily bombarding with this modern treatment, it may cause lot of risk to the patient. I'm not going into the details of the modern treatment. I'll just highlight the which treatment options are available. The first step is to help the patient understand the chronic disease process and changes in the lifestyle. So counseling is very important. Nowadays, counseling is very important part. You can educate the patient, you can make aware the patient with the chronicity of the disease and the risk involved, and you can ask the patient to make certain changes in the lifestyle. Nowadays, you all are aware that we are facing a pandemic, world pandemic situation, COVID-19. So no specific treatment is available. So only the rutucharya, and the lifestyle modification is advised, and the other hygiene. It is the stress we are stressing on the uh, respiratory and high hygiene, and then hand hygiene. So these are our basics. So we should focus on the basic lifestyle modification to treat the disease. Then next slide. Metformin. Insulin resistance is there, so metformin is prescribed along with the lifestyle modification. It gives better results. Then the clomiphene citrate. It induces the ovulation. Ovulation inducing drug clomiphene is citrate. Clomiphene citrate is started as a first line method of medical ovulation in the unovulatory women. If required, then only start the medicine. Then the second line treatment is laparoscopic ovarian drilling. Laparoscopically, the ovarian drilling is done and the use of gonadotropin therapy. Next slide. Adrenal suppression is done with the dexamethasone at to facilitate the ovulation. Anti-androgens, the cyproterone acetate and the ethyl estradiol in combination is given to given as an anti-androgens. Then the spironolactone, which is diuretic, it is given alternative to anti-androgens. And the low dose of oral contraceptive, but I will not recommend these medicines like the patient feels better if patients they are worried that they are not getting periods for the 2 to 3 months, so they prefer to go for to take these contraceptive pills. Patient feels better that she gets menstruation regularly, but in long term the oral contraceptives are harmful. Next slide. Next slide. We already discussed this point. Next slide. So I feel that PCOD is a metabolic syndrome with reproductive implications and the huge impact on the reproductive, metabolic, and the cardiovascular health of affected girls and women. So we can see that the womanhood is this is disturbed. It's a thief of womanhood. You can another use as synonyms to the PCOD. It's a thief of womanhood. Next slide. Now, the Ayurvedic management and the Ayurvedic views regarding the PCOS. We are running short of time, so I will try to. Next slide, sir. So the PCOD management with Ayurveda involves the Ayurvedic medications, Ayurvedic Panchakarma, diet modification, lifestyle modification. This is the pyramid. It is showing the management of holistic management of PCOD with Ayurveda. Next slide, please. What is the concept of Ayurveda? Actually, the PCOD is not mentioned in the Ayurveda, but the similar symptoms, but there is no need to directly correlate PCOD with the other entities. But the few symptoms or the few diseases you can they mention whose symptoms are similar to the PCOS. Like in the Kashyap Samhita, also the Prutha Loma Gandasha means the Loma Gandasha means the facial hair growth. It is mentioned in the Kashyap Samhita also. Even in the Charak Yunivapadan Adhyaya Rajaska, the symptoms resembles with the symptoms of the modern disease PCOD or PCOS. So according to Ayurveda, the Strotorodajanya Grathita Bija Kosh. Strotoroda means the obstructions in the system. Grathita, cyst or multiple cyst are formed. The Granthi means the Grathit means the cyst. And the Bija Kosh. Bija Kosh is ovary. So Strotorodajanya Grathita Bija Kosh. Ayurveda sees towards this disease as a Strotorodajanya Grathita Bija Kosh. Next slide, please. Then Hetu the Santarpanjanya. This disorder is mainly there is a Vata and Kapha predominance is there. So mainly the Santarpanjanya, these are the Hetu or causative agents. Fatty, sweet, heavy diet. The consumption of fatty, sweet and heavy diet. Then the consumption of alcohol, fast foods, non-veg, high carbohydrate foods, and the lack of exercise, diva swap, daytime sleep, diva swap. These are the hetus, major hetus of PCOS. Next slide, please. Pathogenesis, samprapti. Rasa Dhatwagni Mande is there. So Roga Sarva, you all know that Roga Sarvapi Mandagni. Mandagni, the Agni is very important. In this condition, Agni Mande is there, especially Rasa Dhatwagni Mande is there. And along with the Rasa Dhatwagni Mande, Medo Dhatwagni Mande is there. Then Strota Orod is there. Meda Sanchay. Then reduction in the Agni causes the cyst formation. And imbalance of hormones, reduction in the FSH and increase LH ratio. Then the hormones are completely, there is a imbalance in the hormones also, and it causes the anovulation. So Ayurveda sees majorly Ayurveda, according to Ayurveda, Rasa Dhatwagni, Medo Dhatwagni Mandya, and Strotorod and Meda Sanchay is there. So Agni is very important. Agni Rakshan is very important according to Ayurveda to manage this disorder. Next slide, please. Next slide. Kapha dosha is cold and dense. With its heavy, cool qualities, it nourishes the development of the tissues that form and support the reproductive system. This also supports the growth of the follicle during the ovarian cycles. PCOS occurs when kapha blocks the other two doshas. When the kapha blocks the other two doshas, vata and pitta, thus the movement of the mature ovum and the menstrual blood is obstructed. So there will be obstructions. There will be obstruction in the menstrual blood and the ovum. That is due to the sticky cuff, and the transformation process is suppressed. We had already this, the pathophysiology is the same. Then due to strotorod, maturation fails. The arrest of follicle is there. Next slide. Next slide.
Is hormonal disharmony or next?
Sir, next slide, please. Okay. So dosha involved in PCOD. Vata predominance is there. Which are the symptoms of vata predominance? Associated with the menstrual pain, menstrual irregularity, low weight, and coldness. If the pitta, which are the symptoms which dominates, which are pitta predominant? Hair loss, painful menses, acne, clots, and the heart problem. The spelling mistake is there. Kapha predominance, increased weight, infertility, facial hairs, diabetic tendencies, and coldness. These are the symptoms due to the vata, pitta, and the kapha dominance. Next slide, please. The treatment principles involve the normalize the metabolism. That is the correction of Agni. Correction of Agni is very important. Cleansing of bowel. Cleansing of bowel, Basti. Then regulate the Artava. Reducing the circulating androgens. And optimizing the ovarian function. And supporting optimal endocrine functions. These are the treatment principles which needs to follow to treat PCOD successfully. Next slide, sir. Next slide. और कितना समय है मेरे लिए?
समय का कोई लिमिट नहीं.
Okay. So I'll directly go to Chikitsa Sutra. Panchakarma, in Panchakarma, Vaman, in Panchakarma, Virechan, Basti, Uttar Basti, and Nasya. These are very useful processes. Virechan, Virechan, Anuloman, these are these Panchakarma procedures are required. Basti. Nahi Vatadrute Yonam Narinam Sampruddashate. Vat Dushti is there in any Yoni Vapadas. So Basti is the best treatment for the PCOD or any female disorder. अगर आपको कुछ नहीं समझा तो मैं इसलिए बोलता हूँ कि अगर कुछ नहीं समझा तो कम से कम ईच एंड एवरी फीमेल पेशेंट में कोई भी डिसऑर्डर हो उसमें आप बस्ती इज वेरी यूजफुल ट्रीटमेंट बिकॉज वात के लिए सर्वश्रेष्ठ चिकित्सा बस्ती है एंड जो यूटरस है वो अपान के क्षेत्र में है इट इज इन द रीजन ऑफ अपाना सो बस्ती इज द बेस्ट ट्रीटमेंट देन उत्तर बस्ती even the Uttar Basti can be used as a Kshetraj Chikitsa in married PCOD patients only. Nasya. Nasya directly acts on the HPO axis, hypothalamo-pituitary ovarian axis. It is absorbed from the cribriform plexus and it gives the good result. I have tried on the many patients of secondary amenorrhea. Most of the times for secondary amenorrhea, we give withdrawal bleeding. But instead of giving withdrawal bleeding, Adrak Swaras Nasya gives better results because it is Ushna and Tikshna in nature, Adrak Swaras Nasya. Two drops each nostrils for 3 days. It stimulates the HPO axis and patient gets periods in the 5 to 6 days along with the other medicines. But Nasya is very useful, especially for to treat the secondary amenorrhea in the patients of PCOS. Then the Vatagna and Kafagna Aushadhi. Why Vatagna and Kafagna? Majorly the Vata and Kapha predominance is there. Next slide. Rasa Dhatu Pachan. Rasa Dhatu Agni Mande is there. So Rasa Dhatu Pachan is important. Rasa Pachak Yog is available in the market also. Then Rajo Shodhan. Rajo Shodhan is the Shodhan of a Raja. Raja is important because it is obstructed. Medo Pachak drugs are used. As we proceed, we are going to discuss about the medicines. Then the Kleda Shoshan. Kleda, like diabetes, in PCOD also, the Kleda formation is there. So Kleda Shoshak medicines are very much useful to treat the PCOD successfully. Vatanuloman. Vatanuloman with this simple Gandharva Hrit ki Churna or erand Shunti Yukta erand tail. It is important. Then Kapha Shodhan and Shaman. This is the Chikitsa Sutra. It is very important. Someone has circled it. It is very important part in my lecture, I think. Next slide. Can you erase this from the screen? Yes, thank you. Now, our practitioners and students are very much interested in the formulations. So I will discuss the formulation, but I have not mentioned the dose because the dose, the matra, you have to decide the matra according to the Prakruti, Dosha, Dushya, Dushti, Vyadhi. So I have not mentioned because I don't want to just copy paste the matra or the dose of the drugs. So I'll just discuss which drugs are important. First is in the Asava Arista, Kumari Asav. Kumari Asav is very useful. Dashamula Arista. Dashmul is Vata Shamak. So Dashmula Arista is useful. Ashoka Arista. Ashoka is also known as the Stri Mitra. It is a friend of female. So Ashoka Arista. Karpas Mulaso. Karpas Mulaso acts on the uterus. Karpas Mulaso and Devdarva Arista acts on the they act as a uterine tonic. They act on the uterine muscles. So these two drugs are very useful. Then Paripathadi Kada. In Vati Guti, Tapyadi Lohovati, कांचनार गुग्गुळ, चंद्रप्रभावटी, आरोग्यवर्धिनी वटी, पुष्पधन्वारस, लघुमालिनी वसंत, योगराज गुग्गुळ, कुबेराक्षवटी, and Sharapunkha Ganavati. If you look at the Churna, Shatavari contains the phytoestrogens, Guduchi, Sharapunkha, Shatapushpa, Shatavari, Sariva plus Manjista. Sariva and Manjista are Rakta Prasadan drugs. Til, Gud and Bharangi. Til and Gud. Again, Til and Gud is also a very good medicine. I routinely prescribe in my practice Til, Krishna Til, especially the Krishna Til and Gud. If patient fails to menstruate, especially in the secondary amenorrhea, the Til and Gud, Krishna Til and Gud, bharad is made and they are equal quantity में उसको लेकर उसका काढ़ा बनाकर अगर सुबह देंगे तो it is very much useful. Krishna Til especially. Then Gandharva Haritaki and Hingvastak Churna. Gandharva Haritaki is used for Anuloman and Hingvastak Churna is used for the Deepan and Pachan. Next. कृष्ण तिल के बारे में एक आई वांट टू शेयर वन स्टोरी. एक पेशेंट थी, उरन से आती थी डीवाई पाटिल में. सो हर एज वाज 70 years. मेरे लाइफ में मैंने पहली पेशेंट देखी कि सी वाज मेंस्ट्रुएटिंग नॉर्मली एट द एज ऑफ 70 एंड सी वाज वर्किंग एज अ स्टाफ नर्स. सो आफ्टर तिल संक्रांत जो रहता है, मकर संक्रांत 14 तब वो आई थी अराउंड. तो सी वाज बिफोर दैट सी वाज मेंस्ट्रुएटिंग नॉर्मली and she came with the complaint that suddenly she started heavy bleeding. So I asked so many questions कि दही खा रही है, अचार पापड़ ऐसा कुछ खा रही है क्या. तो मेरे ध्यान में आया कि she was consuming the तिल के लड्डू मकर संक्रांत. तो so I asked कि तिल के लड्डू खाए क्या बहुत ज्यादा. So she said yes. So तिल इतना इफेक्टिव है कि सेकेंडरी एमेनोरिया में तिल और गुड़ का कॉट इज वेरी इफेक्टिव. नो नीड टू प्रिस्क्राइब द विड्रॉल ब्लीडिंग. सो तिल क्या कर सकते हो पेशेंट, जैसे मैंने कुछ भी मेडिसिन नहीं दिया, जस्ट आस्क्ड टू स्टॉप ईटिंग द तिल का लड्डू फॉर फ्यू डेज एंड पेशेंट सेड कि पेशेंट का बाद में आई तो बोले कि बेटा कुछ मेडिसिन लेने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, सब ठीक है. सो ये तिल इतना यूजफुल है. देन Rajapravartini Vati is useful in the secondary amenorrhea. It contains the aloe vera, cassis, tankan, and hing. Aloe vera what aloe vera does? It purifies the blood and stimulates the female reproductive system. Rajapravartini Vati is used in the secondary amenorrhea. Then Suvarna Makshik Bhasma. It balances the kapha and pitta dosha. Its main ingredients are copper and iron pyrite. फलग्रुत, the name itself suggests फल प्राप्ति के लिए जो फलग्रुत है, it is very useful. आप ओरली भी दे सकते हो, फलग्रुत ओरली भी कंज्यूम करने के लिए बोल सकते हो, या फिर आप उत्तर बस्ती में भी फलग्रुत यूज होता है फॉर द क्षेत्र चिकित्सा. It rejuvenates and it's a fertility enhancer. Ghee contains vitamin E and that's why vitamin E is a anti-sterility vitamin. So again, falagrut, the contents uske aise कि it's very useful. It's a fertility enhancer. Those who are not sometimes the ghee creates nausea and vomiting like symptom. So even it is available in the tablet form also. And next one. Next slide. We are continuing with the formulation. Then the Pushpadhanvaras. It regulates the ovulation, strengthens the Arthavah Strotas, and it's a Rasayan. Tapyadi Lohavati. Punarnava Mandur. Punarnava Mandur, it is useful for the Rakta Vruddhi, and also Punarnava Mandur is useful for the Lekhan. Kanchanar Guggul. Kanchanar Guggul is very useful in PCOD because it is indicated in the Granthi, Apache, means any cystic. Here the disease itself, it is the multiple follicles are formed. So Kanchana Gugul plays a very important role to reduce the cyst. Then Chandra Prabhavati. Chandra Prabhavati contains Silajatu. It is used as a rasayan in most of the female disorder. Chandra Prabhavati is useful, especially in PCOD. It is very useful. Chandra Prabhavati. It contains Silajatu. Next. I'll need five minutes more. I'm going to. Then the Asavarista we had already discussed. Next. Arogya Vardhini Vati. Arogya Vardhini, the name itself suggests the Arogya Vardhan, the drugs which it helps to enhance your health. That is Arogya Vardhini Vati is useful. It stimulates the liver. For liver, Arogya Vardhani is important because uh, liver is very important organ in the metabolism. So Arogya Vardhani Vati can be given for the 45 days. Lagu Malini Vasan, it's a Kharpar Kalpa. Lagu Malini Vasan acts as a rasayan. Yograj Gugul. Most of the times people, that the doctors, they prescribe Yograj Gugul. But Yograj, why, what is the role of Yograj Gugul in PCOD? It is the best Vatagna drug, Vata Shamak drug, Yograj Gugul. That's why Yograj Gugul 2 TDS can be used in the dose of 2 TDS can be used to treat the infertility, to treat the PCOD, as Vata predominance is there. Then Kuber Akshavati, Kuber Latakarans. Kuber Akshavati is again important. Is a strong आम पाचन. आम पाचन में कुबेर लताकरण सबसे श्रेष्ठ है. इसमें this disorder is mainly due to the इसमें अग्नि डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है इसमें. So कुबेराक्षवटी अग्नि दीपन के लिए is very important drug. Sharapunka Ghanavati. Sharapunka, the role of Sharapunka is a Bhedan. The property of Sharapunka is, the Prabhav Sharapunka is Bhedan. When I was studying in Podar, my respected guide Chaudhary madam was studying on this drug. So Sharapunka was a topic of study for the PhD. So we routinely, since then we are routinely prescribed the Sharapunka Ghanavati or Sharapunka Churna. Sharapunka Churna, if given from the 5th day of menses for the next 7 days, early morning, in the dose of 10 gram with the milk. Usually milk, actually milk is contraindicated in PCOD, but if it is the very bitter in taste, so if the Sharapunka Churna is given in the dose of 10 gram early morning at Rasayan Kal with milk for the next 7 days, it helps for the ovulation. No need to prescribe clomiphene citrate. It has got very good results. Or if Churna is not available or difficulty in consuming the Sharapunka Churna, you can go for the Sharapunka Ghanavati. Next slide. Next slide, please. So this, the actions of Churna is a Shatavari. It contains the phytoestrogens, increases the levels of estrogen to regulate the menstrual cycle, beneficial effects in the menstrual irregularities, normalizing FSH and LH. Even the histopathological study revealed that it enhances the folliculogenesis and the presence of mature follicle, useful in the treatment of menstrual and uterine disorder. Basically, Shatavari is useful. It's a uterine tonic and it is routinely used in the female disorder. It acts also sedative and antispasmodic. Vijay Sar, it exhibits the insulin like activities and improves the function of pancreas. Gudmar, the Gudmar and Vijay Sar, these drugs are useful for the best, particularly for the treatment of insulin resistance. Then the Kunduru, or it is also known as the Bimbifal in the Sanskrit, Bimbifal, regulates glucose and fat metabolism. Next slide, please. Ashoka, we already discussed that Ashoka is very useful drug. It contains the tannins and other glycosides which are useful in the dysmenorrhea and menorrhagia. It has a stimulatory effect on the ovarian tissue. It is important, which enhances the estrogen-like activity and enhances the ovulation and the repair of the endometrium. Then Guduchi. Guduchi is commonly prescribed drug which has got the anti-inflammatory, analgesic, and which regularizes the menstrual flow and useful in the management of menstrual disorder. Especially the anti-inflammatory and analgesic action is important. Then aloe vera, Kumar, it improves the fertility rate and has got the anti-inflammatory activity. And Trikatu, it the bioavailability enhancer activity. Trikatu has got the bioavailability enhancer activity. That's why it's again a important medicine. Next slide, please. Mangista, it acts as antioxidants, blood purifier. It purifies the blood. It has got the antimicrobial activity, suggesting usefulness in the various gynecological disorder. But especially it is used for the as a Rakta Prasadhan. Dashmul, anti-inflammatory and action and uterine tonic, useful for the menstrual disorder. Sunti again is very important drug. It's Aam Pachak. Sunti is the Shrestha Aam Pachak, and it detoxifies the body. Deepana to improve the digestive property. It normalizes the function of Apana Vayu. Best drug to reduce the excess fats, and it acts as a liver tonic also. Rasayan and anti-inflammatory. The main actions of Sunti are Ampachan and anti-inflammatory. Next slide, please. Now the Kuberaksha, Latakarans. It's the best Ampachak drug and anti-flatulence. It elevates the Vata dosha. It acts as a uterine stimulation, uterine cleansing action, improves the menstrual discharge. And Hingu, the best medicine to balance the Vata dosha. It relieves the flatulence. It is used in the kitchen. It's these are the spices used in the kitchen on daily basis. Hingu relieves the flatulence, mitigates Vata and Kapha, antispasmodic action, anti-helminthic. The helm is chromic vigatak action है इसका, and the laxative also. It helps to improve the production of progesterone, which is important. Traditionally, it's been used by women to restart their periods after menstruation has stopped for some reasons. ठीक है, it simply increases the fertility and fecundity. Next one. Suvarnamakshik Bhasma, Rason, and Methika. Again, these three drugs are also important. Methika is fenugreek. It acts as a hypoglycemic agent, like the metformin. Metformin is given in the modern medicine. This is the Ayurvedic hypoglycemic drug. That is Methika, fenugreek, and it also reduces the cholesterol, promotes the menstrual flow. Next one. Last 2 minutes. I'll sum up in the last 2 minutes. Next slide, please, sir. These are the few formulations. Sharapunka, I already discussed about the Sharapunka. Then the Shatapushpa, Shatavari, or Sariva Manjista, Tilgud, already discussed. Ashwagandha, Arjun is helpful to minimize the risk factors. The cardiac, the patients of severe PCOD are on cardiac risk. Arjuna helps in minimizing the cardiac risk. And Hingvastak Churna is the Dipan. It is helpful for the Deepana, and Triphala and Latakarans. Next one. These are the drugs specially useful for ovulation disorders. Ashoka, Dashmul, Shatavari, aloe vera or kumari, guggula, hirabol, and the harmal. These drugs has got these drugs are useful in the ovulation disorders. Next slide. These are specially used for the ovulation problems caused due to PCOS, which are the Latakarans, Varuna, Kanchanar, and Guggul. These 4 drugs are useful in the ovulation problem, especially it is when it is caused due to PCOS. Next one. Most of the times, thyroid interferes with the it is associated with the PCOD. It interferes with the PCOD. Arogyavardhini Vati, Kanchanar Guggur, and Punarnava Guggur. These 3 drugs are useful in treating the patients of PCOD with thyroid disorder. The doses and other things I have not mentioned, that you can decide according to the rogi and the Vyadhi and the Prakruti. So I have not mentioned over here. Next slide. Drugs useful for the premature ovarian failure. Ashoka, Dashmul, Chandraprabhavati, Shatavari. No need to select all the drugs. Means you can try a single drug also. Means you can use combination or you can try a single drug also. Chandraprabhavati, Shatavari, Guduchi, and Jivanti. These drugs are useful in the premature ovarian failure. Next slide, sir. Lifestyle changes, I had already discussed about it. Next one. Yoga. I will recommend yoga over exercise because the muscular exercises increases the testosterone and the female body is not supposed to do hard work. Whenever patient comes to me, आपके अगर कोई पेशेंट है वो जिम में बोलते हैं कि हम जिम में जा रहे हैं, तो immediately stop the gym because it's a muscular activity. That is the major difference in yoga and gym. जिम में सिर्फ मस्कुलर एक्सरसाइज होते हैं, वो सिर्फ शाखा पे उसका एक्शन है, लेकिन योगा ये कोस्ट पर भी इसका असर होता है. सो योगा, स्पेशली इन योगा जो मार्जारासन, इसमें श्वानासन, भुजंगासन, सूर्य नमस्कार में ये 12 आसन सब कवर हो जाते हैं और शरीर में ऊर्जा उत्पन्न होती है. इसलिए सूर्य नमस्कार एंड योगा, इन योगा में अगर सूर्य नमस्कार स्पेशली रिकमेंडेड फॉर दी पीसीओडी पेशेंट. स्टॉप द जिम. अगर कोई लंघन करता है वो भी उपवास वगैरह, उससे वात का और प्रकोप होगा, जिम से भी वात का प्रकोप होगा और मस्कुलर एक्सरसाइज. सो इमीडिएटली स्टॉप द जिमिंग एक्टिविटीज and ask the patient to start yoga only and meditation. Why meditation? In PCOD patients, they are suffering from the stress. अगर वो किचन में है कोई पेशेंट, मैं हमेशा पूछता हूँ कि आप किचन में अगर आप प्याज कट कर रहे थे, आप तो प्याज कट करते टाइम या सब्जियां कट करते टाइम पर आपका ध्यान उधर ही रहता है कि और कुछ दूसरा आप सोचते हो, तो पेशेंट बोलते हैं कि हमारा ध्यान नहीं रहता. कभी कभी गैस चालू रहेगा तो मतलब वो उनका ध्यान नहीं रहेगा. तो मतलब जो काम कर रहे हो, इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हाई मेडिटेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट? पीसीओडी पेशेंट को एक सूत्र मैं आपको दे रहा हूँ कि मेडिटेशन अलग से करने की जरूरत नहीं है, कि आप आराम से बैठे आंख लगा के, तो इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कॉन्सेंट्रेट फॉर एनीवन एक्सेप्ट द योगीज. क्यों? क्या कुछ ना कुछ विचार मन में आता है. सो बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ मेडिटेशन इज बीइंग प्रेजेंट. बीइंग प्रेजेंट इज द बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ मेडिटेशन. एक बड़ा मंत्र आपको दे रहा हूँ कि बीइंग प्रेजेंट इन द सिचुएशन. अगर मैं लेक्चर दे रहा हूं तो मेरा लेक्चर देने में अगर ध्यान है तो मैं प्रेजेंट हूं सिचुएशन में. आप लेक्चर सुन रहे हो तो यू शुड बी प्रेजेंट इन द लेक्चर. सो इट इज अ टाइप ऑफ मेडिटेशन. आप जो जो काम कर रहे हैं उस पर अगर फोकस कर रहे हैं आप, दैट इज द बीइंग प्रेजेंट इज द फॉर्म ऑफ मेडिटेशन. और एक कॉजेस में डिस्कस करते टाइम पर आप जब भी व्हेन पेशेंट कम्स टू ओपीडी, उसको एक सवाल जरूर पूछिए कि 99% पेशेंट में स्पोर्ट्स का हिस्ट्री रहता है, मतलब वो कोई कबड्डी में रहता है, कोई खो खो में रहेगा, कोई फुटबॉल में रहेगा। मैं तो हमेशा पूछता हूँ कि आपने स्पोर्ट्स का हिस्ट्री है क्या कुछ, क्योंकि स्पोर्ट्स जो है वो एक्टिविटी एंड्रोजन्स को ये करता है। और सेकंड रहता है कि ड्यूरिंग पीरियड स्पोर्ट्स में इंडल्ज होना। नाउअडेज एज ऐड आता है कि आप ऐसे पैड्स यूज करके आप यू कैन पार्टिसिपेट इन द स्पोर्ट्स, यू कैन आप जंपिंग कर सकते हो, बट रजस वाला परिचर्या का अगर पालन नहीं करेंगे, द मेजरली रजस वाला परिचर्या का पालन न करने की वजह से द पीसीओडी लाइक डिसऑर्डर्स आर हैपनिंग। सो रजस वाला परिचर्या का पालन करना इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड सर। थैंक यू वेरी मच, लेंदी हो गया लेक्चर थोड़ा। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर लिसनिंग पेशेंटली। Again, I'm very much thankful to the organizers, and this session is open for question answer, if organizers permit.
Yes, thank you, Vishnu Bhavne sir. Really, I have some opinions or message on my chat box that though that lecture was little but lengthy, but you have covered the medicine part very thoroughly, and all are very thankful for you that instead of going in the pathology, because most of the practitioner knows the pathology, you have covered the medicine part, that to Ayurveda part, very thoroughly and to the point. All the audience, today we have three panelists with us. They are very specialized in the today's topic. I will welcome Dr. Divya Ramgude madam. She is a HOD of DY Patil School of Ayurveda. Dr. Jayashri Joshi, she is a private practitioner. She is MD and she has a related practice at Latur. And also I have Dr. Meena Bunot madam. She is from Jalandhar. She has his own IVF center at Jalandhar, Punjab. She has done MSc biotechnology after BMS, and from last 24 hours she has her own IVF center at Jalandhar. I welcome all the three panelists, and the session is open for questionnaire. Those the participants or the members who want to ask a question, they can raise their hand. I will unmute them, and till that time I request the panelists, Dr. Divya madam, Ramgude madam and Dr. Joshi madam to please give their comments. Dr. Joshi madam. Hello.
Hi, Ji. Yes.
Hello, yes, Dr. Joshi madam. Hello, Dr. Divya madam is there? Ramgude madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, madam, your comments on today's lecture.
Okay. I already give comments. Very informative. Ayurveda and modern part thoroughly covered. If any doubts, we will discuss.
Yes, we have
From
Bunot
participant
madam.
side.
You have to add anything? Dr. Bunot madam is there. Do you have to add anything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was a very informative lecture, and there was a good integration of the modern as well as the Ayurvedic approach toward PCOD. One thing I want to add that the doctor has told that he has checked one person with 70 years of age. I insist that in this age, malignancy should be ruled out instead of using any medicine, whether it's Ayurvedic or malignancy should be definitely ruled out. And secondly, the grit concentrations should be, although it is medicated, but still I feel that it should not be used in such PCOD patients, especially which are obese. And one of the person in the chat list has also mentioned that grit should not be used. And third thing is that laparoscopic drilling is not advisable these days. We should manage PCOD with the medicines plus the lifestyle changes, as laparoscopic drilling has been outdated now. And thirdly, which has not been mentioned, we should use latrose if you want to use latrozole instead of clomiphene citrate. So that is the best drug nowadays. So these are my additions I want to add on. Otherwise, this was a very good lecture.
Thank you, madam. Great. Now I have Dr. Ghanshyam Deshmukh. He wants to ask some question. Dr. Ghanshyam, are you audible there?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
My question is, why should not use the medicated ghee? Why should not use?
This question is for whom, Ghanshyam?
Any MD gynecologist can answer.
Anyone? Yes, yes.
Okay, the ma'am now just told you should not, which ghee we should not use, normal cow ghee or medicated ghee.
Gunot, madam.
Sir, even medicated ghee, it will not increase the metabolism. There will be the declination of the metabolism. So I'm not in the favor of using any sort of ghee.
What will happen, madam, if we use medicated ghee? What will happen? What is your experience?
No, actually, I feel that there is a lot of metabolic disorders when we use when the patient is with PCOD because of all the lifestyle changes and what they are eating. I personally feel that any person who is taking dairy products like ghee, cheese, their metabolism is very much reduced. So Vasti Virechan we can all use, but it should not be eating because there is the whole metabolic cycle is not working in those patients.
Okay,
So
thank you.
it is not advisable to use ghee in obese patients.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
What's your comment, Dr. Vishnu Bhavne, sir, regarding the...
Girish, stop one mobile from Vishal Bunot or ma'am.
Okay, right.
Echo is formed.
Vishnu Bhavne, sir, what's your comments on the regarding the use of ghee in your disease?
That ghee, we are not using the plain ghee. We are using the ghee, that is a Siddha ghee, medicated ghee. Even in the patients of heart disease or dyslipidemia, we use the ghee, Panchatikta Ghrut for the Vaman or Virechan in the Purva Karma. Because it is the medicated ghee, that's why the Ghita, we can use the ghee if patient is compatible with the smell of the ghee. Because as it's a medicated, so I feel that
Yeah.
there is no problem
Dr.
in using the
Ghanshyam
ghee.
Patil, you have any question?
Sir. Hello.
Yes, your voice is echoing.
Hello.
Dr. Ghanshyam, your voice is echoing largely there. You have some issues with your mobile there.
He is using two mobiles.
Hello.
On same number.
Hello, yes, Ghanshyam Patil.
Sir, 14 years girl, she has been diagnosed PCOD.
You are not audible. Please, little speak near to your mobile. Dr. Praveen Jagtap is there.
हेलो
हेलो यस
यस सर, मेरा आवाज आ रहा है?
आ रहा है।
हाँ सर, मुझे सर पूछना था कि 3 ड्रग है, सपोज एक कुकुटनकी गुगुल, कुबेराक्ष वटी और लता करंज वटी, तो इसके यूज में कुछ ऐसे स्पेसिफिक अवस्थाज है जो जिसके ऊपर कोई प्रकाश डाल सकता है कि कहाँ पे यूज कर सकते हैं एग्जैक्टली, कुछ डिफरेंस हो सकता है उसमें?
डॉक्टर विष्णु सर।
ओके, तीनों ड्रग में से ड्रग ऑफ चॉइस अगर आपको सिलेक्ट करना है तो कौन सा करना चाहिए, ऐसे बोला ना आपने?
नहीं, उसका अवस्थानुरूप कहाँ पे यूज कर सकते हैं, कुछ है क्या डिफरेंस उसमें, मतलब तीनों ड्रग में?
लता करंज, कुकुटनोकी और कुबेराक्ष।
और कुबेराक्ष,
कुबेराक्ष और लता करंज सेम ही है ड्रग, लता करंज को ही कुबेराक्ष कहते हैं। तो कुबेराक्ष जो है एक स्ट्रॉन्ग पाचक ड्रग है, तो कुकुट नकी से भी आई विल सजेस्ट कि जहाँ पाचन अपेक्षित है स्ट्रॉन्ग, वहाँ पे आप ये यूज करो। और ये कुकुट ओहर द कुकुट नकी।
ओके सर।
Anyone from audience wants to ask question, they can raise their hand so I can unmute them and the panelist or the speaker can answer your question.
लता करण सर उष्ण भी है, तो वो देख के उस हिसाब से इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए पेशेंट को। हेलो।
हाँ बराबर।
You are audible.
प्रकृति और काल का, प्रकृति काल के हिसाब से ये आपको जजमेंट लेना पड़ेगा।
Vishnu sir.
हाँ।
Some senior Vaidyas are using Kamini Kulamandalam.
Kamini Kulamandalam, बरोबर।
Yeah.
This is not a ग्रंथोक्त योग। पूना में कुछ लोग हैं वो ये योग यूज करते हैं, मैंने वो लेक्चर भी सुना है मैडम का। तो उनका आरोग्यवर्धिनी और कामिनी कुलमंडल के सेम कंटेंट्स यूजुअली सेम है। कुटकी का कुछ डिफरेंस है उसमें शायद, क्योंकि ये शास्त्रोक्त योग नहीं है, अनुभूत योग है, और उन्हें काफी अच्छा रिजल्ट मिलेगा। कामिनी कुलमंडल अगर आपके पास अवेलेबल नहीं है तो आप आरोग्यवर्धिनी भी कामिनी कुलमंडल के जैसा ही रिजल्ट दे सकता है, क्योंकि जो ड्रग है वो वही काम करेगा। कामिनी कुलमंडल का ही मतलब अच्छा रिजल्ट देगा, लेकिन अवेलेबल नहीं है तो आरोग्यवर्धिनी वटी भी यूज हो सकता है, क्योंकि वो अनुभूत योग है।
अच्छा, आरोग्यवर्धिनी को कुमारी की भावना देके वापरते हैं कुछ लोग।
क्योंकि मैंने कामिनी कुलमंडल यूज नहीं किया है किसी पेशेंट में, लेकिन मैंने सुना है कि उसके रिजल्ट्स अच्छे हैं। एक 4-5 दिन पहले ही लेक्चर था पुणे की कोई मैडम का।
सर, सम पीपल्स आर यूजिंग सहचर तेल मात्रा बस्ती फॉर पीसीओडी पेशेंट।
हाँ,
व्हाट इज द रोल?
सहचर जो है एक इट्स अ स्ट्रॉन्ग वातशामक ड्रग सहचर। तो सहचर तेल मात्रा बस्ती, कोई भी बस्ती या मात्रा बस्ती जो है श्रेष्ठ वातशामक है, और सहचर खुद श्रेष्ठ वातशामक है। इसलिए सहचर का अगर मात्रा बस्ती कंटिन्यूअस is given for the continuous 3 cycles, then it is very much useful and routinely हम लोग यूज करते हैं। मतलब और तिल तेल और अगर आप सहचर देंगे प्रिफरेबली तो रिजल्ट्स काफी अच्छे हैं।
सिंधी, हेलो।
निरोह बस्ती देने के बाद भी अगर ये 8 दिन का हम देते हैं और बाद में सहचर तेल का बस्ती देते हैं तो उसके भी अच्छे रिजल्ट आते हैं। और सहचर तेल का बस्ती देने के बाद 3-4 दिन के बाद पेशेंट को हो जाता है, मतलब ब्लीडिंग शुरू हो जाता है।
डॉक्टर नरेंद्र चौधरी, हेलो।
हेलो सर। मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ सर कि हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
बोलिए ना। आ रही है सर।
मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ सर कि आफ्टर मेडिकल से पूरी एजिंग में आयुर्वेद की ये सब देने के बाद रेडियोलॉजिकल एविडेंस जो है ये पीसीओडी का, वो कितने देर में क्लियर, आपके पास ऐसा कोई स्टैटिस्टिक या डाटा है कि कितने देर में क्लियर हो जाएगा, और फर्टिलिटी कितने दिन में सस्टेन हो जाएगी फर्टिलिटी, ऐसा मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ, अगर कोई स्टैटिस्टिकली आपके पास है।
इसका स्टैटिस्टिक्स है, लेकिन ऑलरेडी अभी मैंने बोला कि मैं खुद 2000 पेशेंट पर ये इसका कर चुका हूँ। इसका डेटा है, आपको अगर मेरा नंबर आप लिख लीजिए, पर्सनली आपसे मैं वो डिस्कस कर सकता हूँ। लेकिन मेजरली इसका जो चिकित्सा सूत्र है उसका अगर पालन करेंगे, इसमें पेशेंट्स इन्वॉल्वमेंट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। हम लोग बहुत मेडिसिन दे रहे हैं, लेकिन पेशेंट इज नॉट रेडी टू इम्प्रूव द लाइफस्टाइल। आप कोई भी कितना से अच्छा ड्रग दोगे तो रिजल्ट नहीं आएंगे। और आपने जो डेटा का कहा तो वो तो मैं, आप मेरा नंबर लीजिए, क्योंकि अभी इट इज नॉट रेडीली अवेलेबल विथ मी, बट लेकिन मैंने खुद रेगुलरली हम लोग ट्राई करते हैं कि यूजुअली पहले साइकिल में हम लोग योग बस्ती देते, बाद में मात्रा बस्ती पे शिफ्ट करते, और नस्य मतलब HPO एक्सिस नस्य से बैलेंस हो जाता है। और योग बस्ती में आप योग बस्ती देते टाइम पर या योग बस्ती देते टाइम पर आप जो अनुवासन यूज करते हैं उसमें भी आप सहचर यूज कर सकते हो।
तो भी सर एवरेज ट्रीटमेंट रेजिम कितने ड्यूरेशन का रहेगा ऐसा? एवरेज
6
ऑन एन
मंथ्स का,
एवरेज कितना
6
चलता है?
मंथ्स का मेजरली पेशेंट को मिनिमम 6 मंथ्स का पीरियड देने का कि आपको 6 मंथ्स तो भी लगेगा रिजल्ट आने के लिए, क्योंकि पीरियड तो महीने में एक ही बार आता है। मतलब यूजुअली हम लोग ये कॉमन सेंटेंस यूज करते हैं कि पीरियड तो एक महीने में एक ही बार आता है, तो एटलीस्ट 6 मंथ्स तो देने चाहिए आपने, 6 मंथ्स टू 1 ईयर।
थैंक यू
Dr.
सर।
Ajay is there?
Girish,
Ah,
one question is from Dr. Ghanshyam Patel. Is recurrent mouth ulcer related to PCOD?
क्या हुआ?
Divya madam, is Divya madam there?
One question is there. Is recurrent mouth ulcer is related to PCOD?
मतलब me answer, shall I answer it?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Hello?
panelist is someone is going to answer?
Divya madam is there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam, you have one question. Dr. Dadre sir, please go.
Yeah, yeah.
हाँ sir.
Is recurrent mouth ulcer related to PCOD?
Uh,
Patel is asking.
recurrent mouth ulcer related to PCOD. इम्यूनिटी अगर कम हो जाएगी तो मतलब रसक्षय, रक्तक्षय। माउथ अल्सर्स क्यों होते हैं? क्योंकि हीमोग्लोबिन कम रहेगा तो होता है जनरली, बी कॉम्प्लेक्स डेफिशिएंसी। तो अगर समझो हम, और पीसीओडी में भी क्या है, धातु अग्निमंद्य, धातु अग्निमंद्य, रस धातु अग्निमंद्य, तो इट इज कोरिलेटेड विद एक्चुअली आई थिंक। मतलब अगर इम्यूनिटी लो है तो माउथ अल्सर्स का ये रहता है, मतलब पॉसिबिलिटी रहता है। और पीसीओडी में भी धातु अग्निमंद्य, मेटाबॉलिक डिस्टर्बेंस रहता है, इसके लिए इट इज पॉसिबल।
One another question is from Dr. Dhananjay Kulkarni. What is the difference in criteria of treatment in obese and non-obese PCOS patients?
एक्चुअली पीसीओडी संतर्पणजन्य है और अपतर्पणजन्य है। अपतर्पणजन्य मतलब लीन पेशेंट एंड संतर्पणजन्य मतलब ओबेस पेशेंट। तो ओबेस पेशेंट की ट्रीटमेंट दोनों का अगर समझो संप्राप्ति देखे जाएंगे, कॉजेस डिफरेंट रहेंगे, मगर संप्राप्ति में अग्निमंद्य रहता है। तो दीपन, पाचन, वातानुलोमन एंड बाद में फिर पंचकर्म और तिक्त रसायनों का प्रयोग। जो सर ने जो दिया है सब मेडिसिन का लिस्ट, उसमें काफी तिक्त रसात्मक द्रव्य है। तो सबसे पहले स्टार्ट ये करना है कि दीपन, पाचन, देन शमन चिकित्सा, उसके बाद फिर शोधन चिकित्सा, एंड देन वी कैन कवर दिस थिंग्स।
Great. Gaju sir, do you have any more questions or should we conclude today's session?
Yeah. Ask audience, sorry, delegates or audience, if they are having any questions.
Dr. Ajay is there. So I think we can conclude today's session. Before concluding, I will request Dr. Vishnu Bhavne sir to please give a take-home message in short, and later on we will move on to the vote of thanks and we will conclude after that. Dr. Vishnu sir.
You want me to speak?
Yeah. Give a take-home message in short. That after that we will conclude.
Okay. So
your experience take-home message.
Okay. So I'm very much thankful to all the organizers, Fertility Society, NIMA, MSB, and NIMA CC. Especially a special thanks. I would like to convey my special thanks to Dr. Gajanan Dhadve sir, Dr. Girish Daga sir, and my take-home message would be, I already quoted it, that the best form of meditation, to be present, being present in the situation, is the best form of meditation. no need to do meditation separately. This is the take home message. And we collectively, we have to, because this disease majorly, it's a thief of womanhood. It is majorly affecting the young girls. So um and the prevalence rate is 1 is to sorry 10 is to 1, means in 10 girls or teen females, one PCOD patient is, we are finding one patient. So it's a collective responsibility of all the practitioners, students, academicians, researchers, that this disease is as this disease is majorly affecting the fertility. So we all need to collectively fight this disorder by just merely improving the lifestyle and the meditation. Thank you. That's all.
Great, great. Before moving, I am switching my mic to Dr. Gajanan sir for vote of thanks. Just I want to share tomorrow's program. Tomorrow, that is the 16th May, the topic of the webinar was tubular factor and infertility management. And the speaker will be Dr. Rajesh Utane sir. He is MS and DGO in Ayurveda Science. Also, he has a PhD. So tomorrow program will be on tubular factor and infertility management. And day after tomorrow, that is on Sunday, we have one more legal webinar. That part 2 of our legal committee webinar. The topic will be medical certificate in medical practice. And the speaker will be Dr. Nitin Kothare sir. So these are the forthcoming 2 webinars, and later in the next week we have some proctological webinar also. So I will give mic to the Nadve sir, and I will request him to please give a brief introduction of the specialty societies which NIMA is forming. Please introduce some societies that people can get attached with such societies, and please they can make their group and communicate their individual experience in their group. I will request Dr. Gajanan Dhadve sir, please.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
NIMA Central Courses separately started some societies in our specialty. Fertility Society of Indian Medicine, NIMA, then Pediatric Society of NIMA, and Proctology Society of NIMA. All these society are working in our all over India for the betterment of our graduates. And
vote of thanks.
Today's lecture for his speaker, Dr. Bhavane sir, presented very nicely a lucid subject, a dry subject, that is PCOD, in a lucid manner. Therefore, special thanks for our delegates who are attended more than near about 300 and above for today's webinar. Thank you.
And also I am thankful to our panelists, respected Dr. Divya madam, Dr. Joshi madam, and Dr. Gunod madam. And most thankful to all the participants and members who have joined our NIMA's webinar. And almost 300 people have joined in this webinar, and almost 400, 500 people are seeing on live on YouTube also. The YouTube link will be shared to you, and you can in future also you can take reference of this lecture on YouTube. I am thankful to you, and see you tomorrow with a new lecture of Dr. Rajesh Utane sir. Thank you.